Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Welcome. Welcome to The Art Will Not Be Changing, episode 9. I have with me the great, the one, the only social media maven, Chandler Kidd. Christian Joseph DeMatteo. I don't know why I threw that in there. And I skipped my middle name. It's my confirmation. Christian Alfred Joseph DeMatteo. I don't know why I'm giving it all away. Here's my social security number and my mother's maiden name. No, I am the co-founder of Fugitive Poems, and this is the Fugitive Poems Show. I'm really, really excited about tonight. We got some really cool guests. Before we bring them on, I'm going to leave them in the waiting room for like minutes, make them sweat, and see if they confess to something. Anything, really. I know Jack has a lot to confess to. Plushy crimes of various degrees. I'm going to keep talking about him while he can't respond. Nothing will kill Jack more than not being able to respond. Remember, right now at fugitivepoems.com, you can get your copy of River, the first issue in the sci-fi horror series, wherein a drug dealer gets his hands on a time machine, wreaks havoc on the universe, while 6 hapless Pennsylvania cops get chucked through space and time without a clue what they're doing. Lots of violence, lots of profanity, lots of good times. Written by myself, drawn by James Lyons. You can also go there and right now subscribe to Dirty Living, a story of supernatural noir where the undead are back, the mob is on fire, and all hell's breaking loose in Boston, and only one drunk stands between them and the end of the world. Written by Stephen Besha, drawn by Ryan Santos. It's phenomenal. It's the first offering on our subscription service. Pop over there, subscribe, boom, you're reading it instantly. It could be in your belly just like that. Chandler, what's going on with you doing today?
I was just being a mischievous person as always.
Any particular sins you can confess to?
No, unfortunately not. But also being responsible, you have to have balance.
That's true. This is true. This is a professional atmosphere after all. Tonight, we're going to be talking to 2 incredible indie creators. One of whom, and I'll get into this a little bit more in a minute, it's been part of the Fugitive Poems journey since the beginning. The other of whom has been part of my artistic journey almost since the beginning as well. These are 2 incredible people that we have on. They've got a comic called In the Pale Moonlight, and we're going to talk about it. Please let me introduce Mr. Doug Wood. Hello, Doug. How are you?
Good. But you got the name of the comic book wrong. It's Pretty Boy Squad is what we're promoting today.
I'm so sorry. I totally messed that up.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty Boys in the Pale Moonlight.
Yeah, don't tell Jack that, though.
And I'd like to now introduce the great Jack Van, he says Thomme, we say Thomme, Jack Van Thomme.
I was actually also under the impression that if I could read anything Doug wrote in his script, I would be promoting it. But most of the stuff comes in crayon, so it's a little tricky to work on. So anyway, yeah, that you pronounce it in one of the many ways I hear it. So congratulations.
I was saying Van Thomme on videos before for years, and then I introduced him, all excited to finally talk to him on one of the Fugitive Poems 3-minute interviews, and I'm like, Jack Van Thomme. He's like, it's Thomme.
Well, I was just like, he's clearly not going to be doing this long, so I can't. I mean, I'm not going to pick nits if he's going to be out of this in like a couple weeks. But you're still going on. In spite of popular demand, you are still around, so that's great.
What you just said is actually an exact quote from my doctor as well. He thought I wouldn't be around in a couple of weeks. Yeah. So you guys have a long history of comics. I want to find out a little bit about where you started, and then we're going to talk about this great project and show off some of the art. Doug, though, I've got to say first, I got to get this out there now that we have this forum. Doug was our mentor at Fugitive Poems when we first started, we wanted to put an anthology together. James and I, we didn't know what the hell we were doing. And we got Doug up on a Zoom call. He met with us a number of times just to help us out, just to be there. And I know he's been that mentor to a lot of people in the comic industry. So it is truly an honor, Doug, to have you on. Thank you.
Thank you for letting me do this. I offer to anybody who needs it. So if you're hearing this and you need help budgeting, running a Kickstarter or whatever, just let me know, and I'm there. I can do anything for free and help you out. Just want you to see you succeed. So that's just what I do.
Well, thank you so much for that, Doug. Doug's got a bunch of great books out. So, Doug, let me ask you first. What's your comic book moment? What's the moment in your life where you were like, I want to be part of this. I want to read these. I want to do this.
I think for me, the big one, well, that got me into comics in the first place was watching, of course, Saturday morning cartoons, loving that. But getting my mom to walk into a comic book store and seeing like a cover of like Venom from back in the 90s and being like, oh, I want that so much. And then lying to her and saying, oh, he's a superhero. No, that's just Spider-Man. And please don't worry about that green tongue thing that's coming out. I'm sure that's okay and not evil or something. What made me finally want to do it was I was actually injured in Afghanistan, and while I was recovering, I kind of just needed something to do, and I had started reading comics again, and I don't know, something kind of clicked for me, and that's when I kind of started doing it again.
Now, so you served in Afghanistan, and you decided, and thank you for that. And you decided after that you wanted to create, you wanted to make things.
Yeah. The big moment to finally figure out how to do it, though, was I saw like a G4 interview with Robert Kirkman where he's like, hey, go check out these forums like Pencil Jack or Digital Webbing. And I went and saw what people were doing and how to do it and kind of stuff like that. And I floundered for many years because I thought, oh, I'm a lone wolf. I don't need to do work with anybody. I'll figure it out myself. And turns out you actually need community to figure things out at times. And so once I kind of finally joined up like the Comics Jam and met more people like me, things started clicking and things started working out for me.
Well, we're glad they did, and not just because of the help you've given us, but as you know, I'm a huge fan of your work. I was actually just reading Supermax over again the other day. I love your stuff.
Thank you.
So, Doug, thank you. And speaking of the Comic Jam, we'll talk about that more in a minute. The gentleman I met through the Comic Jam, the first comic he ever did for me was actually something I dedicated to my wife, and he absolutely made it completely beautiful, as he's done with every other piece we've done together. Jack Van Thomme. Jack, how are you?
Pretty good. And thanks for having me. Also, I like that you kind of undersell the fact that you're like, hey, this is my first comic or one of the first comics I'm doing on the jam. Why don't you make this loving and dedicated, like a poem, but sort of a visual poem that goes against traditional rules of eye reading across. Do that, but also it's for my wife. Great, love it, super nice, really appreciated that. But a piece of trivia for you. So I might have been one of the first people to draw one of your comics on the jam. Actually, Doug was the first one to write a script that I drew for the jam way back in like 2019. And
we don't have to talk about that.
No, we don't. I will not talk about that. It's fine. I will say there's some structural errors across the board, and
I know. I'm sorry. You did your best you could, though.
I did the best that I could. For someone like me, I did the absolute best I could. Does not mean it's good, but just for someone like me, I did my best. So.
We got some people popping in the chat. I always forget about the chat. We start out with Rich but Not Wealthy, one of my favorite screen names ever. Rich, how you doing? A drug saving the world gives hope for the rest of us. Absolutely. And that's in relation to Dirty Living. We've got James here saying hi. James saying hello. And CT Allen Casey calling out Doug and Jack. And we also have G Matrix Art saying hey all. And Daniel G. Wilson is here. We got a hell of a crowd right
Daniel
now.
Wilson?
Hi, Daniel.
Daniel Wilson. Doug
Hi,
wrote me the
Luis,
first
and
comic page I
everybody.
ever drew. Who is G Matrix? Do you know, Doug?
Yeah, that's Luis.
Godoy?
You guys know Luis?
Yeah,
Godoy?
he's on the jam now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
com- the comic jam, where people go to create, find community, and learn about making comics, the whole craft itself, and they can grow as a community. And as it's a wonderful spot.
And where
Yeah.
could you find that, Jack?
You might look, I think it's www.thecomicjam.com or something like that, or on Discord, or just reach out to literally any of us on social media, and we'll direct you to the right place.
There you go. It actually, yeah, it's on Medium, I think. So, Jack,
Reddit
what's your
comic book
comic book
club.
moment?
Oh,
What's your comic book moment?
So good question. Gotta throw credit where credit's due. My parents were awesome supporters of my comics career, like all of our parents are. They all are super supportive of comics, love it, totally understand it's great. Well, my parents were. And I had to travel to a lot of craft stores, fabric supply stores, things like that with my mom growing up little. And many of them were next to an old defunct brand of comic stores that are out of the Minneapolis area, no longer exist. But I would say, can we stop in? And there were these comics after comics after comics. The covers would stand out to me for old Captain America comics from the 90s. Captain America 217 is one that stands out. It's got this awesome cover with Captain America and the Falcon on it, and they're just bursting out with these bright colors. And I was like, I got to figure out how to draw this. They were just so much of a big swing. I was like, I'll figure out how to do this. So at a craft store, get some pencils, get some paper, find how to draw comics the Marvel way. I don't care if you are not a fan of it. If you think there's parts that are missing, that is okay. However you come to comics is the right way to get there. And so I just showed up and I started drawing, and then I kept doing it because nobody ever told me I was doing a bad job, and that's what kept me going. That's not it. I'm sorry.
Oh, no?
My copy is it's downstairs, but I'll send you the link. You can post it in there or something like that. But it's older, and it's phenomenal. And so if you've seen any of the stuff that I've done again on the Comic Jam, again, that is thecomicjam.com, on Medium, on Blue Sky, on Instagram, all that good stuff. You could learn how to draw comics, and you could even read some of my definitely not tongue-in-cheek comics where I explain how to draw comics. It's phenomenal. So anyway,
Thank you for that. This is so. We've got Claudio. Hey guys, Doug recently lettered one of my comics, his first time ever, and then he writes, "I was his guinea pig." And Claudio, as a fellow Italian, you should know how offensive that is.
Claudio was also the one who drew my first comic book jam, so it was nice to kind of be circular like that.
Oh, that is very cool. Folks, I've been putting their social media on the bottom. Please make sure you follow these guys. They are incredible. Doug, you've done a number of great comics, but I really want to focus on what you got going on right now. Can you guys, Doug, why don't you start us out telling us out about the impetus for in the Pretty Boy Squad? I mean,
it's a weird story, so forgive me. It's a little bit long. Back in 2020, I was posting trying to look for a comic book agent, and a certain fellow who owns Rob Liefeld's comic book creations said, "Hey, I'll be your agent." And I said, "What?" And I looked and I said, "Oh, this is the guy that's been trying to allegedly scam people." Allegedly, I said that right. And I had this funny conversation with him, and I don't know. I just he was trying to let me become the new Youngblood writer, and when I had a pitch come into my brain based on Alan Moore's run on the characters, and I thought, instead of scamming this guy, let's just do this for real. And I put together a story that I kind of just that would be fun. Just a bunch of the world's greatest superheroes. I mean, sorry, world's greatest detectives trying to figure out a murder. So you take away everything away from them that you can when they try to cheat things. Like Batman's kind of gig is always he holds like criminals over a building to try to get them to talk, but he can't do that to himself, right? So what does that look like?
oh wow! And they're all sort of like Alan Moore does. they're all sort of incarnations of comic book tropes, right?
Yeah.
And
I didn't steal like his idea or anything, so I don't want to be. I don't want to compare to like him or anything like that. But it's just like that was the genesis of like this like void like world of. I was trying to capture.
Well, I was lucky enough to get to see an early version of this, and fell in love with it immediately. It's such a great concept. Your writing is so good here. It's so honed in, and a lot of good clipped dialogue and great images. And when I found out you were working with Jack, I was like, this is perfect. These guys are gonna. Jack is gonna be able to knock these concepts out of the park.
I have to really appreciate you reading it, because you gave me a little bit of homework and some of your suggestions. I was like, oh, you understood it more on a level than what I wanted to try to accomplish, and so it made me try to go back and rewrite some of the stuff, because I don't know, you've honed in on the inspiration I needed to try to kind of finish it and get it to where I wanted it to be. So it was really awesome.
Well, I'm so glad. I had such a great time with it. We've got Tom Lynott. How many comic jammers are on this thing? We got to get Chan. You got to join the comic jam. You got to start writing weekly comics.
Okay, sounds good.
We'll drum. We're cool. We're really nice.
This week's theme is cute but deadly, Chan. So if you want to write a one-page comic around the theme, cute but deadly.
Please don't. They're all a bunch of meanies, and they bully me, and I cry every night because of them. Please, for your sanity, join us.
I don't know what. Yeah, I feel like you're coming in kind of hot, like you're sort of anticipating some sort of combat situation here. We're all friends here. This is so weird.
Nobody trusts you, Jack.
No, I don't either.
I love this. I love this drawing here. Folks, right now, go on to Kickstarter, and you want to look for In the Pale Moonlight, #1. It's coming out. When it was the 17th, if I remember correctly. 19th. This will go live.
Launches on the 19th.
Launches on the 19th, and you want to go now and click Notify Me on launch. This, I've seen this. I haven't seen all the art. I'm going to show you what I've seen shortly, but I've read the script. I've seen a lot of the art. I am telling you, this is tremendous. So why don't we take a little bit of a look at the art while Jack tells us a little bit about coming to this project. How did you get involved?
Yeah, and I will say, anybody who does sign up to get notified, that's awesome. If you don't end up backing, if you don't feel like you're behind the project, that's cool. If you got another project you want to back, that's great too. But when you get notified, that helps us make sure that other people who might be interested in the project can check it out too. So at the very least, that's a nice way to help. I got involved in this because Doug's a good dude. He was one of the first people that got me onto the jam. He helped write that first script that I ended up drawing. And then he reached out a while ago and he said, I've got this artist who's working on the project. I need some colors though. I'd done an initial pass at some colors, and then he's like, you know what? I think the person, who's working on this, they're probably gonna step away from the next issues. What do you think? And I said, I can't do their style, but I can do mine. And Doug, as always, is a good steward of the indie comics community, a nicer person than that though. And he's got a story to tell, and I'm lucky enough that he let me help tell it. So I jumped in to help, set up pages, get everything going, and he has really let me run wild. I don't always have a perfectly typical style, and that's what I like doing. So he has let me kind of run wild, do different things. This is one of those banner images you'll see a ton over the next couple of weeks. This bat bursting through a thing of glass. Don't worry about the physics of it. Why is the blood in front if it's just going through the glass? Now, don't worry about that. Just worry about, does it look real cool? Because this bat does look pretty cool.
Yeah.
And so I think there's some moments in the story where we do just step away from the narrative for a minute that I got to explore, be a little bit more artistic, just a little bit more expressive on the page. And that's what kept me going through some of those pages where it's, crowd scenes, people talking, things like that. So there's a lot of up and down. There's a lot of motion on the page. And I think that's what kept me going.
I appreciate Jack's art. He just understands like the level of weird ideas I wanted to capture, and I really appreciate like how he pushed the different parts of the script too.
Chan, how cool is this?
I really love bats, so I like it a lot.
Well, you're either gonna like or not like this book then. Depends on your thoughts on bats.
We met Chandler at a tattoo convention that we did last year, the Blood and Ink Horror and Tattoo Convention. And I'm looking at this and I'm thinking that'd be a pretty badass back tattoo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Depending on how much space you have left. I just think there's so much motion that you can do with those big bat wings. There's that little bit of translucency in the flesh too. I had a lot of fun doing this, and there are a couple, you'll see them throughout here, but a couple different promo images that are just like, I needed to get some thoughts on the page, and there wasn't a natural spot in the story. So let me see if I can guide you towards one. Do you have our friend the Grind with the skateboard? That might be a good one to jump to.
absolutely.
Yeah. So just some of these random little ideas that it's like, this is not a page of the book. This is not for any other purpose than I thought it might be interesting to take one of the characters that's in the story out of the story and just imagine what it would look like if he was on his own doing a thing, thinking about, in the Pale Moonlight. So that he's asking the question, why kill the Grand, which is sort of the central conceit of Doug's writing and something that's got me interested, asking him questions about where does the story go, asking myself questions about how do I leave components of it out there so that people can piece it together without getting too far into the weeds. So,
well, look, that just opened an interesting question for me.
Yeah.
Do you not know how the series ends, Jack?
Oh, I know.
Okay.
But there
how
are
can you
pieces
draw a
of it.
mystery without knowing the whole thing?
Well, there are pieces where it's like when you're writing a good mystery, or you're writing any really good story, part of it is the intrigue that keeps people asking questions about what happens, but also why does it happen? And so there are these character dynamics that happen throughout the story and in some of those early pages that might be subtle. They might not be the most obvious thing on earth, but they help set up why do characters interact in a certain way, makes you wonder how are they going to interact as tension comes up, as conflict occurs. And so that's something that Doug does really well on the pages, give you those stage directions and then give you the freedom to execute them in a good way.
I've never finished a comic script in my life, so I don't know how he knows how it ends. We should be afraid of what he's trying to say about me.
Fade to black, right? It all fades to black.
Yeah. Oh.
Kenneth Fontana was here saying, yo, yo, yo. Kenneth, I can't mention him without it. He's going to get this stuck to his name. Kenneth is completing our comic, Albino Satanists in Heat, for Daniel G. Wilson's incredible, wonderful anthology, Zona del Male. If you go to Kickstarter right now, Zona del Male is running. It's really close to reaching its funding goal. You can get it digital, but you're going to want to get it physical. It's a beautiful book. It has vampire witches, silver-nosed devils, hags, vampires, and albino Satanists in Heat. And the Heat part is what makes it a really exciting comic. Kenneth is drawing it. Dan has put the book together. Definitely go check it out. And then Sheepish Distances. And then we also have Jonathan Chiodas chiming in with the physics. Who needs it? Doug, do you have this whole thing written?
No, I would never. That's too much work.
Okay.
Work is a scary thing to me. I wrote an outline. I sent it to Jack, and he said, yes. He told me speech to text works, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
And
the problem is I get a lot of mumbles through the script. It just says kind of trails off. I don't know how the AI is picking it up, but it says like, oh, trails off incoherently. And so I draw that on it. There's a lot of pages where it just, if you guys read House of Leaves, if you're familiar with that, that's
I love that book.
Lot of those elements in there. A certain part I honestly think he was just reading aloud from a Chuck Palahniuk book. So that's another thing that was happening. Couple parts of Diary have made it into the script, so I don't know.
Ooh, great book too.
Really selling you guys on backing this on Kickstarter, I know.
Absolutely, but your literary taste is impeccable. Doug, when you do is this the longest series you've written? Because Supermax was issues initially, right?
Yeah. Oh no. Well, we released it all in trade. But it's 4 issues long. Yeah. No.
How long?
This is intended to be 3 issues. I
Okay.
hope.
Okay. Now, have you started working on script 2?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Very good. Now, has working with Jack changed the story at all as you guys bounce back and forth? Because I know, like, when James and I work together, I'll pitch him the concept, I'll show him the script, he'll have ideas, and then that'll give me ideas, and things will evolve. You had this story planned out for a while. Has it changed any since you brought Jack on?
Mm-hmm. Jack, what do you think?
There are parts. So there was an earlier script that you had written that had a little bit more of a dramatic ending to it. I would say like a kind of a page turn reveal at the very end. And we talked initially, and you're like, I think I might cut this or remove some elements. And I said, you know what? If we have the space and I have the time to do it, I think this tells a more complete story and tells one that gets people interested in the second act. And so that was one of the biggest changes I saw. But the script you handed over was the right kind of pacing for what I want to do and what this kind of weirdness entails. There are a lot of pages like the one that Christian's showing that have this sort of internal rhythm that is hard to achieve if you're trying to cram a ton of action in there. So there are pages where it is textless and you are looking at what's on the page and that's the clue that you have. Nobody's describing what's happening. And those are things that I didn't want to alter too much from what Doug had. But there are also pieces towards the end where it's like, you know what? We're getting towards the closing of this initial first couple of days of mystery. We need to have something else to make people wonder about, not just how are they going to find the next clue or what's the next piece going to be.
I'm really intrigued by the layout here. This is fun. This splash panel with floating panels by itself is not an odd concept, but the layout of the floating panels into this sort of ragged quilt is really, really cool. I dig that a lot.
That's all Jack.
Yeah.
Jack really harnessed what I wanted to accomplish, but he took it so much further in a space that I was really excited about.
Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. There's another page here that I found myself, well, me being a gorehound, I am very excited about this page right here.
Yeah, and this is what's going to take it out of the all ages category on Kickstarter, I think. But this is the one that directly precedes the one that you just showed. So a little bit of like, this is our discovery, the scene of the crime, here's what we're seeing. And then we do the classic, everybody loves it in comics when you get that 180 turn. We then see everybody in the crowd looking at what's going on there. And we pick up some of those details. So this is that internal rhythm that I was talking about. We've got this big splash page. You're going to stop and look at it and see what's going on. You're really just focused in on the gore, the terror of the moment. And then you flip around and you start to see everyone's looking at this. What are they picking up? What are the details that matter? And so that's what I said when, I know where this goes. I want to make sure that I represent details appropriately and in a way that doesn't mislead. I don't like red herrings, but I do think there's enough mystery to be sold in that first chapter that I wanted to do justice.
It's interesting because I told you I'm going to the doctor tomorrow. He actually was suggesting this might be the only way I lose weight was this process.
Yeah.
You've got out here. I'm going to bring this with me.
Probably just get your guts out there every once in a while. Just air them out. I think that's good hygiene.
It gets stuffy in there. It does.
Yeah. Unfurl them.
There was here. I love that. This to me, this is a new direction for you, Jack. That's also classic Jack. It's an interesting merging of a new style for a new story. You're always very, very malleable to what you're working with, but there's so much of what I love about Jack Fantomi work in this particular page. And again, the layout is fantastic. Doug, what's going on here? Is this part of the world that they're in, or is this a dream? Or I don't give anything away you don't want to, but
Sure. I always pitch it as like he wakes up in a void and he's kind of just floating, and it's like he doesn't think there's anything around, and all of a sudden like a grappling hook wraps around him and he's getting dragged toward this kind of like a flat top meteoroid, and he finds like this just like a gigantic mansion off into the distance, and he's like, what the heck is going on? And they all say, well, how did you get here? Because we all came through the mansion to become here, and what is going on? What is and then the murder mystery happens, and so it's just constant. What is happening? What is going on? Why is everything so weird?
I'm really intrigued. I remember reading this and being really excited about the storyline, the way that it got unveiled and the suspicion. One of the really cool things about your script is that the tension is instant the moment that the main character arrives, because it already existed before he got there, and suddenly their paranoia is all zeroed in on him. Meanwhile, he's nothing but paranoia because he has no idea what the hell is happening.
Yeah.
You jump us right into the story so well. I absolutely love that writing, and I'm seeing a lot of that coming through in the art as well. What's so now we're talking 3 issues. Look at this picture. That's absolutely beautiful. You're using sort of a watercolor approach there, Jack?
Yeah, I mean, I do all of my comics work digitally, save for a handful of pages. But one of the things I miss, and I am a believer that your comic pages will never be perfect. Your writing is never going to be perfect. The stuff you leave on the page is never going to be perfect. And a professor in college, our professor who was phenomenal, left me with the idea that your style is all the mistakes you couldn't get off the page, meaning the mistakes you couldn't stop making. That's what is your hallmark of you. So Christian, the mistake you make when you write the earth explodes at the end of every story, that's your style, man. You can't stop doing it. And so there are these little things, these facets of how I draw figures and how I do line work. I can't get rid of them. So as soon as you embrace them, then you're there, right? But digital work so often feels really perfect. It's intended to be these perfect smooth lines that are calculated to an ounce. And to me, that doesn't feel like what drawing felt like growing up. And so that's why I gravitate towards this watercolor, more painterly style for some of my pages. And so when I've been working on, these different covers, these different concepts, the idea is how can I make it look like I took a paintbrush here and did the work on the page? So that first one you're looking at, that's a watercolor style background with some watercolor textures and things like that built in. This one is more of an oil painting with a very intentional plan to rip the page. We're looking into whether or not something like this could be embossed. So really want this product to feel like it is a good book that you would want to have on your shelf and pick up and hold in your hand. So Doug,
Yes.
Doug, go ahead.
Oh, I was just wanted to echo Jack as well. I feel like I'm kind of the antithesis of like perfectionism. There's a lot of creators that I talk to and work with, and I say, hey, you know, do what you can do. Don't feel like it has to be perfect because we'll never get accomplished, and just get the essence of what you want, and you're going to learn as you keep going, so never feel like you have to just like achieve the best thing you can do right there in the first page or whatever. And so I hope other creators can try to absorb that and try to do that, because I worry, because a lot of the newer creators, they struggle with wanting to achieve, and it's like, no, just keep trying and keep trying and keep trying, and you'll get better, I promise.
Well, the only one that can't learn from you is Thomme Lynett, who said my lettering is perfect, though.
Oh,
So
yeah.
he's the only one that has nothing to keep going on. Kenneth laughed at your pointing out that I like to explode the earth. Aaron Brown, the wonderful Aaron Brown, Frog King himself. Page tear is killer. And he said, higher. He is also in Daniel G. Wilson's anthology, Zona del Male, which is on Kickstarter. You go to Kickstarter right now and get your copy of Zona del Male if you want some crazy comics, including Albino Satanist and Heat. Mark Capitelli is here, and he actually said something really nice to say about Jack. We try not to show Jack too many of these things because it goes straight to his head.
I would avoid it if I were you.
Jack has actually, he said 2 of the things I said. I didn't have the comments up, so I didn't notice. One, he also said it looked like a quilt. And he said Jack has such a distinctive style, yet this feels like something new from him. Great job, Jack.
Yeah, and it's always appreciated, by the way. Also, just to agree with you, go back Zona del Male. Daniel G. Wilson, super cool, super nice. Everybody on the Comic Jam is super cool and super nice. That's not just me sucking up to the crowd here, because I will pick on Thomme Lynett because he knows why. Right? Everybody else from the Comic Jam is great. But before you do any of the backing of our stuff, back their work, because the comics community only works when everybody works together. So
Absolutely.
this book, it'll get printed. Back their stuff.
Absolutely.
And Jack, say the thing.
What thing?
After we get the funding.
Oh yeah, I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to step out for 1 second because I do have a small child who wants to talk to me.
Mine did.
Sorry. So here's the thing. This book is not one that's, hey buddy, give me a sec. Yeah, a small child wants a hug right now, and I got to give him a hug.
Small child a hug.
Yeah, he's very sweet. You can say hi.
Hi.
Hi, is that Teddy?
That's Teddy. Yeah, can you go watch Sonic with your brother?
Nice meeting you, Teddy.
He's going to sit and read here, probably a book called The Hobbit, because he is great at that. Anyway, yeah, so comics are a passion for myself, for Doug, obviously, too. This is a book that Doug asked me to help make because I like making comics and I like his stories, and he's a story that deserves to be told. So after we hit, I don't know why there's a duck in space. After we hit our funding goal, which $1,500, a small, modest goal, after we get to printing and fulfillment costs, every other dime that comes out of that is going to charity. So Doug and I aren't making a cent off this. This is not going into anybody's bank account, and that's because we care about telling a good story. I'm going to step away for 1 second.
You know, it's so funny because I just changed my name to Charity. So this is going to work out really well for me.
I really appreciate Jack who floated this idea in the first place. It was just a great thinking and vision, and I just really appreciated him. Like, hey, let's do this for like a good thing too.
That's very cool. That's very cool. Guys, this is coming out on the 17th or 19th. I screwed that up again.
19th. You keep quizzing me.
Yeah, 19th. It's coming out. Yeah, I'm testing you. That's what it is.
Yeah,
This
yeah. See if I remember.
on the 19th. Can you give me the pitch for it, the log line for it?
You got it? I got it?
I can get it. Let me think. Do I have it?
How about this? Indie Comic Creator of the Year 2023, Doug Wood, comes back in triumphant form to tell a locked room murder mystery with the world's greatest detectives, plural. Jack Van Thomme steps in true form to provide a unique art style and direction that helps bring this story to life. Comes to Kickstarter, proceeds go to a good cause, quick fulfillment on the project because we have a good printer lined up that's local, that does good work, that helps good people. Like I recommended this printer to Doug for his last book, The Dying Run, and he emailed them like, "Hey, give me an update," and they're like, "It's already in the mail." And
no, it was in my front porch already. I was like, "Whoa!"
So
I got Watchmen,
and you've got it.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been working, or I've worked with this printer in the past, and good local people, small company, they do really good work. And so our goal has always been to tell interesting stories, to fund people, and to help build a comics community. And this is nothing if not a testament to that. So if you want to back us, that's awesome. Make sure that you back your friends' projects first, and then you come back us, because Doug and I will find ways to tell our stories, and then you can help us tell them together.
Thank you, Jack.
Wonderful. Guys, I'm so excited about this. Go to Kickstarter, In the Pale Moonlight, #1, In the Pale Moonlight. You want to grab it. This story is so cool. It's to me, it's all these various incarnations of Batman being Batman in bizarre different ways, solving a murder mystery that is completely surreal, and it blows your mind because it is aeons above what you think it's going to be.
Yeah.
I love this.
It's my love letter. I have I love things like The Glass Onion. I like Alan Moore's Supreme Run. I said there's so many homage characters to Batman in comics. There's, you could just name Shadowhawk. There's Dark Hawk. There's just so many of these characters that.
Boy.
There's just so many of these Batman likes that they just keep making this guy. They love Batman so much that they keep remaking him everywhere, and I just like those misfit characters just as much as I love Batman, and so I wanted to do something with that too.
It is absolutely a work of love and fandom, and I think that's one of the things I've always loved about your work, Doug, is that there is absolute gleeful passion in it, not just in the storytelling, but you can feel it from you and the fact that you're getting to do it. You're so happy to be able to create these comics, and I'm so happy to be able to read them. I'm really excited about this. In the Pale Moonlight Kickstarter, you click notify me on launch right now. And Jack, before we go, I get to, even though I know you're going to turn everything sardonic and sarcastic, but I do have to tell you, working with you on these one-pagers, we've got a series going called Imaginary Fiends. Every time Jack gets one of my stories, he knocks it out of the park, including right before his wife was about to give birth. He sent me one he hadn't prepped me for.
In the delivery room. No.
Yeah, he was drawing on her belly.
No, I'm a good.
It was
I'm
on her belly.
And a good parent. Don't.
He actually sent the picture. He had drawn it on the actual belly.
Okay. Don't write in the newspaper that I was mad. I wasn't mad. Okay. Don't do that. No, these are. Yeah, I've had a lot of fun with those.
Oh man, I love when you work with my scripts. So, folks, go to Kickstarter, Zona del Male right now. You can order it. You're gonna want to get it. It's fantastic. Zona del Male, which I translated to be the naughty spot, but that's not at all what it means. It's not at all what it means. And then you want to go in the Pale Moonlight. Notify me on launch, and on the 17th.
Still 19th. The 19th, though. Still the 19th.
On the 19th, you're going to want to order your copy. This is why I don't teach math. I can't hold on to numbers at all. Folks, remember, fugitivepoems.com. Dirty Living, first subscription service offering. You can get it right now. After you go back Zona del Male, after you go click notify me on launch for In the Pale Moonlight, go to fugitivepoems.com and get yourself, you could be reading instantly one of the coolest supernatural noirs you've ever read. It is wild. Stephen Betcha, Ryan Santos, and Keith Gleason have absolutely made something vulgar, dirty, brutal, and wonderful. And you're going to want to order your copy of River, the first issue of our new sci-fi horror series. You can get that on Fugitive Poems as well. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been my honor to have Jack Van Thomme and Doug Wood, who thank you one more time for all you've done for us. It's been an honor to have you on. Chandler, thank you for joining us.
Yeah,
we are Fugitive Poems, and we make comics. Oh, I almost forgot. Oh, forget that ending. Our intro music, I forgot to say, was done by C-Notes.
Scrub the whole thing.
Scrub it all. Let's start from the beginning. Music by C-Notes. I meant to say it right off the bat. Music by C-Notes, and that's his link tree right there. An incredible creator for our new awesome intro music. I'm going to figure out how to make it an outro too.
I wasn't really impressed by it.
And this time, for real, as a goodbye sign off, we make comics.